Hello.
Everybody's a suspect!
Coming to get you, Bobber.
Wolfman's got Nards!
It Chapter 2 is a 2019 horror movie directed by Andy Muschietti, and it stars Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader and Bill Skarsgård. I will be doing 2 movie reviews for this film. One will be the non-spoiler review, which is what you're watching just now, and the next one, which I'll be uploading after this, will be the spoiler review. 27 years after their first encounter with the terrifying Pennywise, the Losers Club have grown up and moved away until a devastating phone call brings them back. I prepared myself as best as I could going into this film. I watched the miniseries a couple of weeks ago and it wasn't great, but some of it was good. And then I watched the Chapter 1 a couple of days ago just to prepare myself again for the lead up to this film. And one thing that I did notice that I thought was really good was just the sheer blend. Even though it was set 27 years after Chapter 1, the blending between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 was excellent. I'm going to start off with the pacing of this film. As you know, it's almost 3 hours long, so you're thinking a 3 hour long horror movie is going to be hard to watch, but for me personally, I don't think it even felt like 3 hours. Yes, at times it did feel like it was dragging out a little bit, but not to the point where I was bored. I think every part of the film wasn't boring at all. I think they set it up pretty well. I think the pacing was good. They did change it up a bit from what you saw in the miniseries. For example, very early on, we see them at the dinner table. This is no spoilers, but we see them all at the dinner table in the Chinese restaurant, and then they go away and do their own thing separately. They see Pennywise in their own way. But in the miniseries, they see Pennywise first and then they go to the dinner. So I think the pacing for the movie was a lot better. Let's talk about the acting. I think the acting was incredible by almost everybody. There wasn't one person that gave me a bad performance. I do feel like Jessica Chastain though was underutilised. She wasn't underutilised throughout the film. She was used in the way that she should have been, but the way she was advertised and the way she was hyped up for this film made me think that she was going to have one of the biggest roles, if not the biggest role in this film, but she didn't have. That role went to James McAvoy, and as it should, because I felt that Bill was the main character because it affected him first with Georgie. So I think that he had to be the main character, so I'm glad that Jessica Chastain didn't take the lead. I'm glad that it was James McAvoy. Everyone's talking about how well the cast of this film with the kids looking like the adults, and I did agree with that when I looked at the images. I thought, oh, he looks like him, she looks like her, that's great. But see, when you watch the film, I didn't realise how much on point they were, especially with Ben and Eddie. Those two were very scarily alike. Like, you could actually look at these characters and think that that is them 27 years later. That's how spot on they were with the casting. I had a few issues with the film, as most people would have, and that is not seeing Pennywise enough. We didn't see Pennywise enough in episode 2 of the miniseries, and it's similar to what happens here, and I think it's because of how the story goes out, the story progresses, sorry. We see Pennywise mostly in flashback scenes. We do see him a few times throughout the modern day as well, but we didn't see him enough, and I don't think that's a massive issue, and it didn't ruin the movie. But if I had to nitpick certain things, I would say that I would like to have seen Pennywise more. There was a few jump scares in this film. I don't mind jump scares if it's a built-up jump scare, but there's some jump scares in this film that were just there to make you jump. This movie had heart, and I didn't expect it to have as much heart as it did, and a lot of moments where you actually felt like crying as well. For a horror movie, that's quite hard to do, and I think some of that is thanks to the miniseries. As strange as it sounds, when I was watching these guys battle Pennywise and come back after 27 years, I felt like I gave 27 years of my life watching this film, and even though we didn't, it's only been 2 years since the first movie. Because I watched the miniseries so long ago, over 27 years ago now, I felt like I went on that journey for that length of time as well. And the way that they've set out the finale in this film, it felt like this has been 27 years of build-up, and the way they've done it again was great, and it was very heartfelt. Without giving anything away, guys, remember from It Chapter 1 with Georgie at the beginning, that was a brutal scene and quite an intense scene. Now in this film, there's 3 scenes that are quite similar to that, and I can't mention what they are. I will mention them in my spoiler review, but there's 3 scenes in this film that don't top what happened with Georgie, but some of them are on par with what happened to Georgie, and I quite like the fact that they're still keeping the movie very R-rated anyway, and is a lot more brutal than the miniseries, so I think we needed that again because it set the tone for the film. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, I don't think he shined as much in this film as he did in Chapter 1. That's no fault to Bill Skarsgård because he was in this movie a lot less because he just wasn't in it as much, but the times he was on screen he was fantastic again. There was some hints of a prequel that could be made as well that showed in this movie. I don't want to give anything away again. I will mention that in the spoiler review, but there was a couple of scenes that took us back to what Bill Skarsgård would look like as Pennywise becoming the clown. So without giving anything away, guys, I'm going to say this now. I think It Chapter 2 is a great movie. I have heard a lot of bad reviews for it. I don't know why. I will watch those reviews to see what people think about it, but my personal opinion is It Chapter 2 is a great horror movie. It's not as good as Chapter 1, but it's a great horror movie. It's got heart, which is again very strange, but it's very heartfelt. Overall, guys, I highly recommend It Chapter 2. If you liked It Chapter 1, I think you will like It Chapter 2. But if you've seen it, and if you don't like it, or even if you do like it, leave your comments down below, guys. Let me know what you think. Try not leave any spoilers down below. Leave that for my spoiler review video. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching again. Thanks for subscribing. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.